Hello, everybody. You are looking live at a wonderful setting here in the cool of the evening in April on a Sunday evening here in the heart of the city of Fort Myers in what's known as the Dunbar community. It's a historic community and the largest African-American community in the southwest quadrant of the state of Florida. The Dunbar community has a rich history and has contributed so much to this region. Lee Pitts Live is here and thrilled to be under the palm trees on the corner of Dr. Martin Luther King Drive and Henderson Avenue. I say Henderson because it is now named Willie Battle Way. See this sign right here. We have legendary icons in our community who deserve to have streets named after them, and Willie Battle is one of them. I am so happy that in the early stages of getting this done, Lee Pitts Live, myself, was involved and making some phone calls and starting the conversation, and now it's a reality. As well as my good friend, the Senator of Dunbar, Attorney Joe North. We have a great deal of respect for both of these Willies, and the next Willie that needs to get a street named after him is the Willie who mentored this Willie. These guys, Willie Battle and Willie Green. Willie Battle Way is now official. He built most of the homes on this street. I guess they were called Battle Homes. So let's get right to it. Well, before we get to it, I want you to know that in my research, I found that most of these streets in the Dunbar community are named after white people, and many of them had slaves back in the early 1800s. So it's time for us to start moving around and finding out about these streets, who they're named after, and start putting some of our own people's names on these streets. It's only appropriate. Would you agree with me on that, Willie Green?
Sure.
Would you agree with me on that, Willie Battle?
Yes, sir.
Willie Battle, even get you to hold that up a little higher because you know you're going to talk softly. There you go. Willie Battle, congratulations. How does it feel when you see this sign, Willie Battle Way?
It make everything worthwhile. The hard work that we put into it, and it will show the youth that time has come for them. They have to learn the history of this community, because before me it was Reverend Evans, Shoemaker, Willie Green, and Willie Battle that passed the torch to me. So a lot of people don't know the history. They need to know the history of Dunbar.
I'm so glad that Lee Pitts Live exists now, and we have the opportunity to lay some of that history down for history's sake, told in their own words by Willie Battle, by Willie Green, who have history going way back in this area. Willie, I'm gonna stay with you before I go over to your good friend Willie Green to get some of his thoughts as well. This street right here, Henderson Avenue,
Right.
my understanding is that you grew up on this street.
Yes.
You told me the story on the phone, how I guess down that way it just used to be cattle and
Groves,
open acreage of
water ponds, no bathroom, no lights, no TV. I grew up in all of that situation, and say when I get grown, I'm gonna try to do something about it.
That's what you said.
Yes.
But
Yep.
man, you did a lot about it though.
Yeah.
Did you visualize building all these houses in this community, not on the street that you grew up running around as a little boy, but all around the Dunbar area?
No.
I think you said something about you told your mom you were gonna you were gonna do something, improve, make her life better or something like that.
Okay, that was when she went to visit her mom in Lake Alfred, and we stopped at the filling station. She got gas, and they told her the bathroom is not for blacks. So I didn't know until we went down the road and she went out in the bushes, and I asked her, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm using the bathroom."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Well, one day I'm gonna do something about that." And I was only 5.
5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
When you were 5, you knew that the color of your skin made life different from you?
Oh, definite. They ran me out of town. Only income I had was my wife. They fired her for no reason at all. And Mr. Green stepped in and solved the problem. DOT, they took over $200-some thousand from me, and Mr. Green took me into federal court, and we won. So he been a loss in my life.
Now let's go over to Mr. Green. You both guys spent a lot of time as well working in the civil rights movement, NAACP, SCLC, all those types of things. Both of you are recipients of the Lee Pitts Live Person of the Year Award 2021, and we got to hear some of that history. Willie Green, when you're sitting here listening to Willie battle somebody that you mentored at an early age, and now did you ever envision that one day a street would be named after Willie battle in Fort Myers?
No, I really didn't. I didn't even think about the street. I was just hoping that one day he'd be able to walk down a street.
Wow.
Because it was such a segregated and such a Jim Crow community, until you could never imagine that it was going to, in our lifetime anyway, get better. It was terrible. As a matter of fact, when I first came to Fort Myers, my first experience at Fort Myers, well, I, of course, grew up in Miami, but my grandmother lived in Palmetto, and I was on the bus riding from Miami to Palmetto, and the bus stopped in Fort Myers. And it so happened they didn't have any passengers from Fort Myers going on to Tampa in the place. So the drivers, I can't afford to drive to Tampa. I can't pay for my fuel. I'm going to have to stay here until I get a load, until I get at least a paying crowd, paying passengers. And I said, "What do you mean?" This was on a Saturday afternoon, about this time on a Saturday afternoon. And I says, "What am I supposed to do?" He said, "Like all niggas do." I don't know what all niggas do. I didn't even know I were a nigga till me. And I says, "What do I do?" He says, "You gonna have to stay out there on the bus, or you can stay behind the building there when you get ready to go SH, you know." And I says, "Well, how about if I go to," of course we was known then as colored people. So I said, "How about if I go to colored town?" He said, "No, if you can't catch you walking around down there, you'll go to jail." Well, of course, a few hours later, they caught me walking around down there, and fortunate, just fortunate, I didn't go to jail, but I was transported to Colored Town, and I got to meet Buck McCullum, and the rest, it was so. It made such an impression on me until I came here. As soon as I finished school, I came here and made it my home. I came here with the total purpose to make it better.
Wow. Now, when we come back, I'm going to find out from both of these gentlemen how Dunbar used to look back in the day. Okay, we'll be right back. All right, when we last took that break, we had heard that word Colored Town. I want to get a little more details on that. That was what we know today as the Dunbar community.
That's right.
White folks referred to it as Colored Town.
That's right.
And
what at least the whites referred to it as Colored Town.
And what did Colored Town look like back then?
Slum, nothing but slum.
Just a slum?
There was no CBS home. There were no homes of any significant with air conditioning, that would look like a home in the average city. I was living in Miami during that time, and there was nothing in Fort Myers that looked like Miami.
I got you. Now, Willie, when you were growing up in Colored Town at the time, you ended up building, at the end of the day, how many houses or apartment units, just total, would you estimate you did in your construction?
About 300. Where we got
about 300.
Where we got a chance to integrate the school, and blacks came in, didn't have anywhere to live, so I started building to give them somewhere to live. Because they
right there.
They had to stay with families, and we was able to start building. And it had to be a gift from God.
Yeah, it was difficult. You've told the story. We see your success now, battle homes and all of that. Single family homes, apartment complexes. You sold some, you kept some. You still living pretty nicely. You still able to wear a nice hat like that and shoes like that, and both of y'all became millionaires in this area. But tell me some of the struggles that you had. I think you talked about one of them. You had a struggle just getting loans from banks back then.
Yes, I was able to build them back there on jobs. They threw lumber away pieces, so and piece them all together to make 8 foot to build my first house, and from that one another apartment, and from that one another apartment, and from that one triplex, eightplex, and then Battle's Dream. And the banks, even though I went down there with a good record and had money in the bank, they decided that we don't do that here for black folks. So my daddy told me to go back in the bank and talk to every one of them. So I met a man by the name of Jack Harwood. So he came out and he said that you shouldn't have a problem. He said, I can loan you up to $100,000 without approval from the board. So he did that. And then that really kicked me off for the big success.
Right. That was a good deal for him because I'm sure he eventually got a chance to do a lot more business with you, starting off with that $100,000, didn't he?
Yes,
Paid it back on time?
Yes, but back there, their mentality is that we're not going to help the nigger, So I just found a way to do it. And it was rough. Then I met Mr. Green when I was about 17, and I looked at him on filling station, apartments, and all these things. So I want to be like him.
So Willie Green was a good role model for you.
Oh, definitely. He stood by me when time was hard. I mean, hard.
Man.
And that's why every time you see him, you see me, because I try to give him blessing back, and we had some tough fights. We had to face the KKK. We had to face the redheads. We had to live in different houses. We had to ride different cars. All that we had to go through with.
Yeah, you guys paved the way for people like myself to be able to be sitting out here right now. No, this is still, I know Willie Green, you're like, hey, Lee, we see you sitting out here right now. Back in the day, this wouldn't be happening, right?
It wouldn't happen.
With this skin color, huh?
No way. As a matter of fact, this was White Town.
Yeah, let me
This was White.
let me thank y'all.
This was the white community.
Right, let me slow down for a minute and thank y'all for paving the way for people like myself to be able to enjoy some of the things that we enjoy now. And it had not been for people like you two, and I was lucky. I met you guys in my early part of my life as a professional, as a banker. Y'all pulled me to the side and let me know, hey, boy, these banks would be these old bankers would be rolling over in their grave. They knew a little young black guy was down here, was a vice president at the bank, and I didn't know I had walked into all of that history. But you guys set me down real fast. At that time, I was the first African American around 1988, 89 when I came to this community. I was the first African American ever who was a vice president at a bank. And these two gentlemen right here pulled me to the side, and they gave me consciousness. Even to this day, when y'all see me involved in the community and all of that, it was because of Willie Green and Willie Battle pulling me to the side and saying, hey, Lee, this is your responsibility. You got to be involved in the community. And that is why even to this day, when I'm around them, it's like I'm paying homage. When I realized that Willie Battle had a street named after him, of course I was involved behind the scene in getting the street named after him. And other people were involved in it as well, like Attorney Joe North, Phyllis Calloway, some political people as well. But the fact of the matter is that it has gotten named after Willie Battle. And I remember telling Willie after Willie Battle and Willie Green received my Person of the Year award in 2021. I said to Willie, we need to try to get a street named after you. And now, the reality has come into play. Let's go back over to you, Willie Green. You sit here. I've seen you and Willie battle, have y'all battles as well. But y'all two guys, man.
Teeth and tongue fall out, but they never get out.
You guys set a good example for us.
That's right.
To follow.
That's right.
You know when it's time to close ranks and work together.
That's right.
Willie mentioned that you guys, dealt with the Ku Klux Klans, you dealt with the skinhead, you dealt with all types of racist organizations.
Yeah, got our home burnt down.
I was going to say, you guys, your lives were always in jeopardy, huh?
Oh, yes.
Just share some of that with us.
Well, actually, in my case, because I haven't been a little older, about 8 or 10 years, I was in the limelight of the heat from the Alabama burnings and Emmett Till, Mississippi and whatever, prior to Mr. Battle getting there. So by the time I got him, I was out of school and fighting what was actually a kind of a lonely battle.
Right.
Because so many blacks had tried lining up with the NAACP and the Urban League and what have you, and they felt their homes were burned, they were fired from their job, and there were just the 2 or 3 people was hell bent on lasting it out, and they told me about it. So consequently, I came in ready to fight. After my experience with the visiting here, when I finished school, I came back to Fort Myers ready to make it a better place to live, work, and play. And I succeeded. I got my places burnt down. I finally bought homes and what have you out at LaBelle and a couple other and various other places that were burned. I was the very first person to live in Harlem Lake. I was the very person and they were old travel trailer homes, but they were still home. And they were burned. I went to Miami one weekend. It was 4. When I came back, they were ashes. Same thing in LaBelle. My barns, my cows was all killed. So you had to take it and keep on ticking.
I want to make sure I hit two things that I don't want you to get too far gone before I forget to get these 2 things. One of them was you said that right now where we are, this was the white community?
On this side, yeah. This side of the street.
This side of ML King?
Oh, yeah.
Going back.
Even back a ways back in there. It was started, but the actual city of Fort Myers didn't even come out this way. The city itself stopped over on the other side of
the railroad track?
Over where the school, over where High Street.
Okay.
Then the city was moved on to Ford Street. And for years and years, the city stopped at 4th Street. This would have been Connie.
Okay.
This would have not
That would
even
be
been
to
city.
people who are watching. That would be about
and
2 blocks to the west of us.
And back in
4th
those
Street.
days, cities did not advocate mixing of the races. The
Right.
city, well, if they sold you property or if they gave you a permit, they would let you know, now that's color town, and you don't go over there, and your children stay over on this side.
Oh, my goodness.
They would, and there were also older men like myself, and I wasn't that old, but I was older than Mr. Bell, and it was my initiatory duty to inform him of what I knew about what had happened in previous events, so that he wouldn't get caught up in the same kind of situation.
Well, I want to get to. He mentioned Willie Battle mentioned he saw you as a role model who was actually doing things.
Right.
I'm assuming you were running your own business.
Yeah.
He said you had a gas station and some other businesses. What businesses were those? A black man back then?
I've never been employed by another person. I've been self-employed since I was 8 years old.
Really?
I won the newspaper salesman award. I won $50 and a Western Fly bicycle, and I never been broke nor was out of way to ride.
You heard those stories before, Willie?
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
By the time I came here, I had gotten into the cosmetics business, Sweet Georgia Brown and Lucky Heart, and then they had started to align us to open up private community credit union.
Okay.
So I got into the credit union, but there really wasn't nothing but another way to money launder. but you only could launder to black.
Uh-huh.
You couldn't launder none to white. You could only launder black. And of course, then I left from my Miami roots because of a contractor who were actually building Port Charlotte. There were actually 3 brothers, the Michael brothers.
Black guys or white guys?
Yeah, they're white guys.
Okay.
They developed Marco Isle. Yeah, of course Robert and Frank is alive. The older brother Frank Elliot is dead.
But I noticed in both of your history, along the way, you were still able to, and even when you have events and things like that, I see white people come out to support you. You guys were able to work with certain white people who were willing to work with you guys. They still maintain a good relationship even to this day, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I find out that everybody don't think alike. And I had, out of 1,500, I had 500 whites to join the NAACP. And they helped support it. And we got a lot of things done. I went to the superintendent and I told him, we got these lawsuits, we spent our own money, and we need your help. He said, what do you need? I said, all these blacks here that going to senior high school, Fort Myers Senior High, is benefiting from the struggle. And I asked them to get a CPA and find out how much taxes they paying, talk to them, how much taxes they paying, and they can do that to a non-profit organization because they take a lot of money out of their check when they can do something with the community. And then he did that, and then we jumped bigger and bigger until we was all over the world. We were known all over the world.
That is unbelievable story you getting right here. Big shout out to the city of Fort Myers Mayor Kevin Anderson, who was involved in the street naming of Willie Battle, City Councilwoman Teresa Watkins Brown, City Councilman Johnny Streets, who their wards kind of intersect around here. Want to thank you for any support that you lend in front of the scene and behind the scenes in making this happen.
Yes.
Let's go to the street right behind us. is so appropriate, Willie Green, that now Willie Battle Way interacts with Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Junior Boulevard.
That used to be Anderson Avenue.
Correct.
I know it did not get changed to Martin Luther King Boulevard. People ride up and down it now.
That's correct.
I bet you two guys.
You better know it.
That's right.
You better
Back
know
in
it.
the day.
That's right. That's right.
Were involved with that.
Let me tell you a little story.
Go ahead right now.
We actually got the name changed, and they didn't want to distinct it so much from McGregor until they put Royal Palms on McGregor Boulevard and put some cheaper palm, Coco Mimosa palm, some stringy looking stuff, all up and down. We had to make them dig them up and put
some
the
quality.
They had to put the same palms. We wanted, not only did we want the street, we wanted the same palm McGregor had.
Man, y'all keep giving
Then we
these
got
white
Royal
people.
Palm.
Y'all keep giving these white people hell, man. Come on now. y'all be white. Y'all look out for everything, guys.
They know that what we are asking them is just the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
All we have ever asked them to do, be fair. Be fair. Level the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
We never asked them to give us more than they had themselves.
Willie Battle Way intersecting with Martin Luther King Boulevard. Talk about how that makes you feel, and Martin Luther King would be proud of that.
Oh yes, when he got killed, I felt that I can be a Dr. King in Fort Myers. That before the street, we had to fight. They didn't just give us that street. Mm-hmm. We had to fight. Mr. Green and I, we had to fight. If you look at the records, you'll see that. But on top of the surface, you won't see no history about it. Because, and she was surprised that she'd been there all them years and they didn't vote for her to get that street. They told me that they had a one little way said shoemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Why do another shoemaker? I say, well, I'm talking about Veronica S. Shoemaker.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a telephone book. I say, here's 100 shoemakers. Which one you talking about? So that didn't come easy. That was my big accomplishment.
Unbelievable. Of course, Veronica Shoemaker is the famed first African-American to be elected to office here in Southwest Florida, not just in the city of Fort Myers and all of Southwest Florida. We still rarely ever see African-Americans elected into political offices. It's certainly with the ones that are at large. Speaking of Dr. Martin Luther King, somebody who's intricately tied to Dr. Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement is Thurgood Marshall, who went on to become a Supreme Court judge. Yeah. But when he was an attorney for the NAA, that's what I'm getting to. I'm setting it up. You're going to knock it out the park.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. When he was a young attorney for the NAACP,
that's right,
he came to Fort Myers, Florida, at the request of Willie Green.
That's right.
To charter a NAACP
branch.
Willie Green, take it away. Tell us that story.
Yes, as a matter of fact, a fellow by the name of Burnzell had came down, and they met the train. The Ku Klux Klan met the train, and they told him if he wanted to leave him alive, he needed to catch that train before it leaves. So he left and went back. Thurgood Marshall contacted me. I had the only office in Dunbar. Had the only office, only secretary, no black office for them. So the NAACP office at that time was located in Canada, just across the bridge over in Canada, and they were having to send that what do you call it? Not by telephone, not by telegram. Telegram.
Okay.
So they sent the telegram from Canada to the U.S. and they said that when Thurgood Marshall would be arriving, and that they were going to have him to arrive at Punta Gorda. Have him to get off the train at Punta Gorda.
Thurgood Marshall,
but he was told to get off in Fort Myers. and the Klans were waiting for him up there, and he got off there, gave us the charter, got back on the river.
Unbelievable story.
Actually, had they known, or had they got the information right, they may have a Ku Klux and killed him.
We're gonna pick right back up.
They killed the Florida state president. The Florida state president and his wife both were killed right just a year or so later.
Unbelievable. We're gonna pick right back up on some more on Thurgood Marshall. Gonna come over here to Willie battle on that. We're gonna go to a break. When we come back, I'm gonna have my lights set up. The darkness is setting in. We're back. I know you guys want to know more about the Thurgood Marshall story. Willie was a little fifth grader by that time, but what year was that Thurgood Marshall came to this area?
Well, it would have been about 50, 51. It might have been early 51. It's 50 or 51.
You say he gave you guys the charter and he hopped up and left. He didn't stay for a minute, have a little coffee?
No, he went on to Miami.
Okay, whoa.
As a matter of fact, they had it set up for someone to meet him in Punta Gorda, and that person met him in Punta Gorda, and he had came on to Fort Myers, so it was a real alert out there because we thought the Klan had got it, but they picked him up, I think, around.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. He was in Miami for several days after that.
So you saw him go from there to becoming a Supreme Court justice.
Oh, yeah, sure. He marched with Martin Luther King, and he also marched with after Mr. Flint left. Charles Flint left the NAACP and went over with the Urban League, and then the Urban League started kind of shattering apart. For a while, Martin Luther King ran the Civil Rights Index. Mm-hmm. He ran all of the organizations, and then the NAACP. That's one of the reasons why they moved from New York, because there was some legal tussling going on. See, the civil rights hub now is Atlanta.
I see.
Yeah, it's not New York anymore.
Gotcha.
Atlanta is more the civil rights hub.
And Willie, I see you got your bling bling on. Hold that mic up. You got the diamonds and pearls, and you got a chauffeur driving you around these days. Used to be a little snot-nosed kid running up and down the street trying to get a bicycle. Yeah, now you got a chauffeur driving you around, man. Have you forgotten about the grassroots people now that you done got up there and got street named all after you now? Are you still you gonna still keep giving them hell, or are you gonna forget about us regular people?
Well, what I like to see is that someone come forward that we can pass the torch to, because 18 or 20 years, 30 years, things, in my opinion, seem to be going backwards. And we need some young people need training, but it's very difficult for the young people because you can't find no history about blacks here. You know, they need to learn history.
What's you guys' opinion about the current state locally of our civil rights organizations, particularly the Lee County branch of the NAACP? Is it doing anything?
In shambles.
Well, he need to retire because the people need him. They call me and Mr. Green, but we're not in that position to help them. And he is doing absolutely nothing for the community. Absolutely nothing for the community.
Yeah.
And
unfortunate.
He's been in there a while, and it's time to get this gentleman out because people need the NAACP for all the problems that they're having. They can't get nobody on the phone.
That would be the current NAACP president, Brother James Millwall Keel. I think he's been there for about 3 terms or so like that.
Yeah, 4.
Probably 12 years.
They still 2-year terms. He's been there
12 years?
8. Yeah, 12 or 8. I know he's been there for at least 4 terms.
So when I heard you like amen when Willie Battle said that our NAACP is doing absolutely nothing. You kind of did an amen. Have you guys tried to work together? I mean, let's get your perspective on what needs to be done, what's not being done.
Well, we have tried to work together. And answering your question, yes, we have tried to work together, and we work together to the extent it would benefit Mr. Milwaukee. But when it benefits the race and our people as a whole, he's never there. He at first he worked under me. He worked under me as a vice president. Never a vice president. I think he was a legal counsel or something. And then finally, I got sick. When I got sick, Carlita took over, and he gained strength because Carlita wasn't doing much either. She didn't know much to do. And then when I took back over from Carlita, he had made his stand. He got his, so to speak, people that wanted to do and think like he think. We right in the same spot. It come to a dispute, and he and Mr. Bell just had enough of it. So Mr. Bell, and he got to the point that where the police wind up in it. And,
Really?
And oh yeah.
Right here in Clemente Park.
Right here in the spot where we are.
Look at this history, people.
Yeah. And what happened?
Police came.
The national office got in it.
Uh-huh.
And the national office was afraid Mr. Bell was going to do something, and they didn't want that to hit the newspaper. One civil rights leader wiped another one out, and so I guess they thought it was best for
that mic right there.
Yeah, they thought it was best for anybody to take over. So when it came time for me to run, they told me that neither me nor Mr. Bell could run, and so he never has been elected. He never was elected, but they sent people down to make sure that Bell and Green did not wind up in that NAACP office with him.
I'm not necessarily. I'm not agreeing with anything. I'm just letting them talk. Go ahead.
The national.
Don't put me in the middle of this.
The national office really tore this branch up. We had a strong, really workable branch. Office and everything located over on Highland Avenue, a day-to-day secretary, operator. I mean, we really had it up and going. But then, of course, I was out for 6 years. 6 years I was out. I had a heart attack. So by the time
I didn't know that. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I was out.
Well, I'm glad to see you right here kicking, man.
I was out from 2000 to 2006.
Both of you guys have had your battles with health, but you're still kicking. Huh?
Once I came back, Mr. Bell was waiting for me.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Mr. President, let's take it back over. He told me, I tell you something.
Y'all won't stop.
We're something, because Mr. Bell told me a few days ago, this community ain't gonna be straightened out till you make up your mind and come back. I said, the birthday isn't 78, it's 88. 89 is coming up in 4 months. He said, you just put the knowledge there. We'll put that foot, and we may have to do it. Now I wouldn't put it past. We love this place.
Mm-hmm.
He was born here, and I feel so obligated to my people until I feel like I was born here.
The people who are listening to this right now, who are hearing you guys say that you're disenchanted with the current state of the NAACP, and they associate you guys with. A lot of people still associate you guys with being the presidents of the NAACP. You said, Willie, that you're still getting phone calls and people are going around the NAACP coming to you.
Yeah.
I mean, just that must be very disheartening for you to see where, in your opinion, things are right now.
Well, for all we went through to get this far, and to see it die, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, and I would like to shout out and say, we coming at you.
Okay, instead of saying we coming at you, let's go with this too. If you were looking into that camera and you had to, I know you guys go in and out of politics in terms of how you have to move about as it relates to civil rights and the NAACP. I know you hate to say anything negatively about the Lee County branch of the NAACP, because you got to get in the room and form a unit. Y'all,
Right.
y'all know how that works. I
That's
know how
correct.
that works.
Oh, yeah.
Now, but I want you to, if you were to give Brother James Winwalk Hill, the current NAACP president, some advice, just some advice on how he can make things better, go ahead and give that advice right now. I'm going to come to you on the same thing, Willie Green.
Well, I tried to about 8 months ago. He came to me and say he was short membership to keep the charter. So I helped him get 25 members. And after that, he didn't talk to me no more.
So we're learning now that you have to have a certain amount of members to keep your charter.
Yes,
You remember that number from back in the day?
I believe 500.
Okay, well, that's a lot. And you helped him keep the charter, and he hasn't talked to you since. All right, let's go over to you to Willie Green. So you have a certain amount of members to keep a charter.
Yes.
You lose that charter, is it hard to get it back?
I don't think they would give it back. They're not giving out any more charters. So
Oh, really?
if you lost it, you would never get it back.
Okay. What
yeah.
advice would you give Brother James?
I would give Brother James, and I have given it to him, and so I would give it to him again. Think of where we were, and think of who got you from where you were.
Mm-hmm.
And let us put ourselves beyond that and think of those who are less fortunate than we are. For my Bible tells me, think more of the man that is down and needs your help than for yourself. That's when you're doing your brotherly love and a good deed for mankind. And and that's always been my philosophy. I've always spent my own money. I have flew all over the United States. They get people out of jail that I never know their name and couldn't pronounce it if I knew it, because it was in many cases it was Spanish and Creole. It just the love of man, of mankind, got to exceed that of personal, and we can't seem to get my brother there.
Right, and some of the
We
things...
both said in his office.
Right, that's what I was getting ready to say.
Ago.
What you're saying
Yeah.
right here, you're not just saying this because you're under the
Oh.
lights on Lee Pitts Live. These are things that you've told,
Heck no.
talked to him
That's
about
right.
in his face.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Tell him do something for the community. The community is doing something for him by getting contracts and all. So he got to put something back, but you can't talk to him. You call him, he ain't gonna answer. Anybody
Yeah.
call him, he ain't gonna answer.
I think you answer for me.
Try it.
All right. Okay, so if we have a weak NAACP in the 21st century where things have moved ahead, we got cell phones, we got all of that now, everything kind of looks a little more rosy fuzzy, integration seems to be where we think it is, we've had a black president of the United States and all that other things that make it look like, why black people even need an NAACP? But then we turn around, we'll see a George Floyd, and we'll see all these other types of things happen. Just talk, Willie, locally, if we don't have a strong NAACP, what does that mean?
You have a weak community relationship with its opposition, mainly with its political people. Political people such as sheriffs and chiefs of police and whatever doesn't respect a individual community active the same as the NAACP, because the NAACP have the political power to bring the big hammers down.
That's right.
From Washington, D.C.
That name means something, NAACP.
Let me tell you what, and I proved it.
Mm-hmm.
After I was no longer associated, I have an organization charter called
Mm-hmm.
Justice for All Peoples of Southwest Florida. Have every right that the NAACP has, but it don't have the clout.
Mm-hmm.
It's like saying my boyfriend is going to get you or my husband is going to get you.
Right.
My husband get you, you got it.
Right.
My boyfriend just
Right.
say, get out my dad. So the NAACP is the oldest, the baddest, the most powerful civil rights organization in the world.
Yes,
In the
sir.
world. And you're never going to go past number one, because as you go, you make number one go.
Mhm.
And so number one just go higher and higher. And it has a lot of prestige and a lot of knowledge that others got to try and get. They already have it available.
Mhm.
And there must be, I know in the state of Florida, and the state of Florida,
get excited. And
yes, in the state of Florida and out to Jacksonville, Tallahassee, and of course Georgia in Atlanta, and of course 3 or 4 other cities. There must be 1,000 free workers. I mean, some of the best attorneys that has been employed by the NAACP free, pro bono, for years. I have NAACP friends that I can get on the telephone and call that will fly at their expenses to Fort Myers instantly. When I was setting up my organization, when I was setting up Justice for All People, I called Paul Wright. Paul Wright is a civil rights professor at Morehouse, and he said, "Well, I don't want you to go wrong. I'll be down there tomorrow." And he haven't sent me he was here for 3 days, made sure I got all the paperwork right, got my charter right, and flew out without even notice. Never give me a bill. Not even his motel bill.
That's outstanding.
These are kind of people that respect me because of my many years involved. They know if Willie Green said it smells like a stump, something stinks down there, I better get on there and help him put it out before we have to fight skunks.
I agree with that, and I'll tell you something, people, before I go over to Willie for a final question. Willie Battle, is when I first started this television show back in the early 1990s, around 1991,
right.
I didn't have any stronger supporters than Willie Battle and Willie Green. When I started this TV show, there was no black person on television, certainly a black male in this area with a television show.
Right.
I was a young banker. They would come on the show all the time, support me, uplift me, encourage me. I joined the NAACP. I'm still a member of the NAACP, Willie, from the time when I joined, when you guys recruited me. Remember when y'all used to have those meetings at that little, one of these little buildings over here used to be the NAACP, and Vivian Hill. Vivian Hill was the secretary. I come to those meetings at night in my bank clothes to the NAACP. That's when I first got a consciousness, because I was just a guy had gone to college, gotten my degree, was living pretty comfortably, had come out of Birmingham though, so I heard the terminology. I was familiar with the bombing of the church and all that. I grew up around there as a little boy. But when I got here, I had got my degrees and everything. I had my master's degree and I was a bank vice president, and it was Willie Green and Willie Battle would sit with me in Margaret's restaurant. I don't know if it was Mildred's or Margaret's, then I get the names mixed up. And every time they would embrace me as their brother. They would, and I love them to death. And that's why I'm here right now. And we're laying this down for history. People who are listening to us on the radio and wondering where we are. We're in the heart of Dunbar, in Clemente Park, the same park where Willie Battle and the current NAACP president had to be separated by law enforcement officers. You can't make this stuff up, people. Willie, and now on the corner of this park, before we go, I had it up earlier. The street has been named Willie Battle Way. You guys have seen that. Willie, I want you to summarize on April 7th, 2022, Henderson Avenue. It runs into Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard, was named Willie Battle Way. I want you to talk about that day. I think it was about 70 people came out to celebrate with you before we go. And then shout some people out.
There were about 200 people came.
200? Okay.
Yeah. But what hurt me so bad is that the professionals back there, I helped get their job back. They didn't come out. The NAACP, and I'm representing the NAACP, didn't come out. So it just surprised me. You know, it's a thing that when I talk, I tell the truth. And as far as the NAACP, if we find somebody want to take it on, we'll take it back because they taught me well. Mr. Green taught me well. I sued the national. I sued the state.
Back then or recently?
Back then. So you can get what you want because you do what they teach you to do. And how to do it, they bylaws. And I tell them y'all breaking your bylaws. And what y'all doing to me is a high-tech lynching. And come out victorious. And next thing I want to say is that proud of you. I am proud of you.
Well, thank you.
And anytime you need a little money to help, just call me. Just call me because I've put millions of dollars back into the community.
Oh, my man, Willie.
Yeah, just call me.
Yeah.
Well, they always try to give me money. Hey, Willie, y'all just want me to succeed no matter what, right?
That's right.
Hey, man, you got to love this. Now, I grew up in a house where I didn't have a father, right? My father wasn't there all the time. Lee Pitts. His name is Lee Pitts, same name. He's 92 years old now. Hey, Pops. I want you to know, Daddy, that here in Fort Myers, I'm being taken care of by Willie Bowden and Willie Green.
Your father's still alive?
He's still alive. He's 92 years old.
Where
He's
he
under
live?
the weather now. He's under the weather. He's dealing with some major illnesses, but I'm going home for, he's not quite 90 yet. He'll be turning 90 this summer. I'm going home for his 90th birthday.
How much?
And he's a son of a sharecropper,
Yeah.
deep south, Orville, Alabama, like I told you.
Right.
Grew up and got off the farm when he was he started working on the farms when he went to the third grade education wise,
Right.
and then he was able to escape when he got old enough. He went to the Korean War, and then he came back to Birmingham and got a job as a truck driver.
How about that?
And made his way, drove a 18-wheeler for all those years until he retired with a third grade education, which I did not know. My mom told me later on he only had a third grade education. He was still able to drive that truck all around and read those numbers on those exits and do what he needed to do. Black people, we just with limited education, we got things done back then, right?
You'd be surprised with how many black people around that have a very prosperous business with no education, never went to school at all. Do you know the people that bought the property and gave it to me for a Christmas present at the corner of Michigan and Raleigh Street over there? They never finished grade school, never went to high school.
Amazing.
Three white, these are white men, three brothers, and the day they owned Marco Owl. Now, of course, I guess they've probably been got all kind of degrees since that time, but they were, at the time they bought that property and gave it to me for a Christmas present. Those lots over there were selling for $150 a piece, and they bought 10 of those 10 lots in that area and gave them to me for Christmas.
Unbelievable. Gave you lots.
Well, they had an airplane. I'm an airplane enthusiast, I bought several airplanes myself.
You learn something new every day.
And what happened is they sold me a plane, and they was test driving it from Miami over there, showing me how to operate and all that. And when they flew down low, the for sale signs was out there, and they said, yeah, you're gonna have to live here because the colored people don't live in the next town up where we're gonna be working, which was Punta Gorda. So there's no colored people up there, no place for you to live. So you're gonna have to live here and drive back and forth up there. So they circled a little curve around and pointed it back down, and he took pictures of the sign. When we got back to Miami, he called Mrs. Harvey, the lady who owned it.
Y'all listening to this?
He called her and asked her would she sell the sign to a colored man. She said no, that was white town, and she couldn't sell it to north of the street she could, but south she couldn't. And so he said okay, so he bought it in his name. kept it till Christmas. That was about September. Came Christmas time, he went downtown Miami, deeded all the whole thing over to me, and said Merry Christmas. For years, it was deeded out of Miami, showed the address in Miami and everything else. When I first met Mr. Bell, I had a house trailer there for an office. And I was standing up in my house trailer door. Mr. Bell was going to school. And I called myself messing with him, but he thought I was picking on him, you know. And I asked him if he was a school teacher, because I really thought it. He said, no. I said, well, what is it? Black, going to school. I'm still trying to this day, trying to hear what he be saying. But he said, what you want? I said, well, I want to talk to you. But I don't want to talk. You walked on. But I kept messing with him. But I thought that this is a peculiar man. He was taller than the rest of them.
Right.
It must have been 10, 15 of them, and he was that much taller than the tallest guy. I said, this guy got to be good for something. If I get in a fight, he'd be good to keep things.
Good-looking dude back there, too.
To keep things under control.
All dog and hassle.
Yeah.
You like hearing all those Willie stories. You heard them all, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yes, I have.
They inspire you?
Yes, it really do.
I went through both of his marriages. His first wife was my piano player at the church.
Uh-huh.
I used to, on the Sunday night, have to take her. We were, I think, paying her $7 a week or something. I had to take her money. I didn't know him then. Mm-hmm. And then later on, the gas started to ration. And you gotta hear this. Gas started rationing. Mr. Bell, he always was mean now. He wasn't gonna just push me around. So he pulls into my service station, and I was sitting there. I said, can I help you? He said, 10 gallons. I said, you a member? He said, what? I said, you a member?
A member of what?
Of my club. You had to be a member of my club to buy my gas. Gas was rationed.
Okay.
So I had gas. So I also made you buy a membership. So I had you pay twice for the gas. You had to be a member of my club. And he didn't buy none the first time, but it came to him that I had the gas. He went when he came back the next time, he came back ready to do business, and we've been doing business. I'm
loving this, man. I'm just loving this, and I can't wait. This is history, people. It's going to live forever in history. I noticed both of you call each other Mr. Battle, Mr. Green, all the time. What's behind that?
Well, back in the days, we was wanted men's, and we had to kind of change up. If they're looking for me, I said, I'm not. I'm Willie Green. Mm-hmm. And that way, I was escape a lot of stuff. It was rough, man. It was rough here. I want to tell you this. When we went to protest Fort Myers High School, when the lady said, if the black folks sell a Mercedes and Cadillac, they can get a home in Cape Coral. So we went at them, and the press called us. They had detectives all up in trees. They called and told me, don't come out there. I'm going to be dead. So we went anyway. And when we got out there, Mr. Green told him, you got to tell this man to take those masks off. So when they took the masks off, 50% of them worked for me. And we started.
That might have something to do with lightning. You think that's
I've never heard that happen before.
Yeah, I think that's from
And
my old lifeguard days that might have something to do with lightning.
I've
but
had-
maybe not.
I've had office in 3 or 4 of these buildings. I never heard that before.
Yeah, it could
In
be.
fact, once we had an office in that next building there. Yeah,
Right here?
Yeah, right. The next building there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. SCLC office was in there.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank y'all for coming out here. Look at that beautiful lighting that's come up there with the sun going down. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting here in the heart of the Dunbar community, people. We're here, and this is the largest African-American community in this region of the southwest quadrant of the state of Florida, in Fort Myers, Florida, where Miami has the oranges and Fort Myers got the juice. We have seen the Dunbar community start to change. I'm moving around here, Willie,
Yes.
both Willies. I'm seeing a lot of white
Yes.
people living in Dunbar.
Yes. True.
I'm seeing a lot of Spanish people living in Dunbar.
Correct.
It is changing.
It's changing.
What does that mean when you see that? What does that mean? Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What does that mean when you see it?
I personally believe that the jury is out too early to make a good decision. But I pray that it's going to be better. It couldn't get worse, I don't think. I don't think it could get worse. I think where it may tend to be, the
White
Southern-
people living in Negro town,
the southern white
Negro
man,
City.
the southern white man has always found a way to divide the worst kind of situation one more time and make it worse. so I'm gonna give him credit that he may just succeed, but he's gonna have to do it after the Willies die. It won't happen as long as I'm alive. That'll wake me up. The young white child have not had an opportunity to be infiltrated into the anti-skin color racism.
Mm-hmm.
Theirs is about dollars and cents, and all money is green.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we are likely to have as much problem out of the younger race, this race that we are dealing with today, because they have to get the money from the same source we get it from.
Gotcha.
And if the drug industry has did any good for us, that's one thing it helped. It put more money in our hands, and we put that, and money is power. And we have been able to use that money in many instances. Now, it did some bad too. I lost some sons. In fact, I lost all my sons too. I had 4 sons, and I only have 1 son left. And the drug industry played a part to the losing of them. But I don't know if they hadn't have died from the drug industry, they may have died from the lack of food, because it was very difficult, ex-drug industry, to get them employment, decent housing, food, medicine. So they may have gone the other way. I know one thing: it won't go backwards as long as the city is located in the county of Lee, and the Willies are located therein.
Okay, the Willie's still looking over.
Let me say one thing that people don't know. When Mr. Lee Pitts started his radio show or television show, he got all kind of threats if he put the Willies on.
Yep. They did not want me bringing the Willies on my TV show when I first started in the early 90s, 90, 91, 92. I don't know if I shared it with you. I share it with Willie all the time.
Yeah.
And all these people be calling and like, don't put them on your show. And that. But I still did it, didn't I, Willie?
Yes, sir. You stood the
about that?
test of time. You told me, you said, I'm going to lose a lot of money, but I'm going to do what I'm put in to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on there, and his show growed. It
It grew.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why it grew. It grew because you guys would always come on the show and call it like you saw it.
Yeah.
Okay? And a lot of the politicians back then, a lot of the community leaders, black and white,
Yeah.
but it was a lot of blacks.
Yeah.
They did not want you guys to come on there saying stuff like it really is. Just like you're sitting right here saying stuff that you, in your opinion, you guys would be calling people names.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I would be sitting up there all GQ'd up and letting y'all talk. And
Well,
they
you
were
know,
like,
Tom Cronin called
they didn't
me
want
one
that
day.
kind of TV show.
Tom Cronin called me one day and told me this, and I never mentioned to you because I thought Tom was just trying to scare me off.
Yeah.
He said, you gonna get Lee Pitts killed.
Yeah.
So you gonna get him killed. They ain't gonna kill you, they gonna kill him. Because they know you ain't got sense enough to stop them.
Oh my goodness. I was so young, I had no idea. I didn't know what. I was just trying to, I enjoyed talking to y'all.
You just
I mean,
thought you was all right, though.
Yeah. When you do this type of thing, right? So you have people come on the show all the time. I've done like 20,000 interviews since then. But you have people come on the show and they don't say anything.
Right.
So I have to sit there and listen to them not telling the truth. I'm looking right in their eyes and they're not saying anything.
Yeah.
And so when I would get you guys on the show way back in 1992, 93, you guys were saying stuff. That's what made it so much fun.
That's right. Oh, I like to, at closing, I like to thank the mayor. The mayor really went out.
The current mayor, Kevin
The
Anderson.
current mayor, to make this work, and his staff, and also Phyllis Calloway.
Yes, the head of the Southwest Florida Enterprise Center and an attorney.
Yeah, she said she been here 18 years and she didn't know about us because there's no history nowhere. And she was excited to see all the accomplishments, and I don't know, when I first got into the NACP, Mr. Green used to take me out for dinner and put pepper in my food. I found out you put pepper in there to make me mean.
Oh, man.
But anything that I did, or he did, we had proof. We weren't just shooting at the mouth. We had proof. And we want to thank you. You've done a great job. But like I said, the community should really help the show because we don't have one. And when I get a little well, I might come out. All I can do now, I can't do all that running I used to do, but I got some money.
All right. I mean, I can't leave without you mentioning Battles Palace or Mansion or whatever
Battles Dream.
Battles Dream. Tell people what Battles Dream is. That's that $1 million home you built right here in the community.
Yes, I was told by my peoples and other peoples that you can't build that kind of house in Dunbar. And I went and built that mansion, and you never seen anything like that in the world. When I built it, and I was to Mr. Green church that he attended about 3 or 4 months ago, and this guy came up and said, "Hey, you the one had that red Hummer?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I was 5. And he said, "Look at mine, it's white." He drove it to it when you gave us the reward. Then I met another guy. He was a contractor. He brought me, and he took me to his house, and he got a big one. He said when I was 5, my mama took me to this dream. And they didn't want that dream because they didn't want our community dreaming. But 30 years later, you ride this community. You see big houses everywhere.
Sure do.
Yeah, so that's opened the door It make me proud that you did that. There's a lot of things happen from the end to the beginning. I got some buildings burnt down. They did a lot. That's why we had to change cars and run and call me and tell me that I'm a dead end, you know. But we stood the test of time, and then it's painful when you see it going backwards. And that's why we live in a long time to see the change.
I tell you, it's been a great evening. The main purpose that we came here was to celebrate the naming of Willie Battle Way, Poplar Street in Dunbar, anchored by the Black History Museum on the corner of Martin Luther King and Henderson Avenue. Henderson Avenue is now named Willie Battle Way. We're so proud to see this happen in this historic evening. I got a chance to chat with these gentlemen. I will be chatting with them again because they're going to keep on giving them hell. This is an amazing thing. We go back over 30 years when I first started my television show, and I thank God that they don't look any worse for the wear, and hopefully I don't look any worse for the wear. We fast forward into the future, and here we are again, Lee Pitts and the two Willies, still able to share smiles, still able to laugh, still able to document that history, call names, do like we do, and at the heart of everything, we still love this community. So in parting, I want you all to remember, for those who say it can't be done, they're usually interrupted by those like the two Willies who are doing it. And Miami may have the oranges, but Fort Myers has got the juice. And Dunbar has got the juice.
Yes, juice.
We'll see you.
Sir.
Lee Pitts Live is a Lee Pitts Enterprise production.
Hello everybody, this is Lee. I'm so glad that you watched that particular show, and if you enjoyed that show, we got other shows like that. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch Lee Pitts Live on demand anytime, and also hit us up on all our social media platforms. Just type in Lee Pitts Live, and there you go.